Hi guys, welcome back to Lewis on Film. I'm Lewis and today I'm going to talk to you about the Netflix original The Dig that's just been released. So the film is based on a book and the book is based on the true story. So read into that what you will. Possibly history's been changed somewhere in there, but it is a historical sort of period film set in 1938, just before the breakout of the Second World War. And it's a suitable setting for this story. I think it's a nice story. And basically, what it is Rafe. It's spelt Ralph. It's pronounced Rafe. I've been told. Rafe Fiennes. He stars as Mr. Brown, Basil Brown, who was a real archaeologist, and he is hired by another real person, Edith Pretty, played by the lovely Carey Mulligan, to excavate some of her land because she believes there may be some treasures hidden beneath the surface. And sure enough, she's right. And with the sort of publicity and the need to carefully excavate this site that they find, more characters get involved and parts of their story become part of the big story that's here as well. So let's start with the good. Well, first of all, it's a very, very pleasant film. It's a very nice film, and it is beautifully shot, and its setting is the Suffolk countryside in 1938, and it is beautifully captured and is, in its own way, kind of its own character as part of the film as well. You know, the site that they excavate and where the archaeological dig happens. It's beautiful, absolutely gorgeous to look at, and full respect to Mike Ealy for making it happen. You know, using mostly natural light. I think there's very few scenes with artificial light used, and because a lot of it's set outside. And yeah, it's really, really well done. So it's a beautiful film to watch and to enjoy. It's very pleasant on the eye, and as well as that, pleasant to listen to because they speak in the sort of old Suffolk accent and language, and it's really, really nice. Which is I think that's part of the reason why we enjoy period films so much, particularly a British audience based on our history. I think we like the authenticity, the feeling of it, and that's certainly alive and well in this film, certainly. Also, I've got to mention Ray Fiennes and Carey Mulligan because they are both excellent. But equal to that, Lily James pops up in this film, and she's always great to watch. Ben Chaplin also pops up in this film. Interestingly, so in this film, Lily James and Ben Chaplin play husband and wife. In Cinderella a few years ago, they actually played father and daughter, which kind of odd, but there you go. That's just the way it works. And yeah, the performances here, particularly Ray Fiennes, he's never not good, is he? He always makes himself watchable, I think, is the fairest thing to say about him. He just has this presence about him as an actor that just draws you in. Even if the films that he's in aren't necessarily good, he himself is a performer, and that's great. He's always that actor. So the bad here. Overall, I don't want to say that the story isn't good and that the character interaction isn't good either, because in part it really is. The issue is, I think, is that the two main characters in this film are Mrs. Pretty, Carey Mulligan, and Mr. Brown, Ray Fiennes. Once these other characters sort of come into the story, that's fine. That you're allowed to invite other characters into your story. You are allowed to, but we often sidetrack to see these characters and their situation and what they're doing. Now, sometimes that happens in films, but it's supposed to be at the behest of the main characters. The sort of supporting characters will come in, they'll speak to the main character, and they'll share their problems, and the main character says, "Oh, go and do it, give it a go." They need to be the feeder, they need to be the reason. Now, by the same token, there are films out there which, of course, don't do this. That are multi-story arcs. Magnolia is a good example, but that's a different thing. You know, when a lot of those characters don't ever meet. In this situation, all the characters meet, they all intertwine, and they all sort of spread off. I don't think, and it does lose the magic a little bit because it starts off as a pleasant and educational story of an archaeological dig, and it's quite interesting. You know, it's interesting to see what Ray Fiennes tries to teach Miss Pretty's son, who's quite interested in what's going on, and you know, he gives him little tips of advice and all that, and that's really really nice. We think it's going to be a story about friendship and something that they uncover together, and that is in itself a great story. And then Lily James and Ben Chaplin enter the fray, and they're a married couple who are at odds with each other, and it suddenly becomes a story about two jaded lovers, and then it kind of ends on a completely different note. It ends as kind of a melodrama about the war that's about to come, and it doesn't need to, or if it does need to, it needs to go through the main characters, and it doesn't. It sides it off and puts them to one side and says, "Oh, hang on a minute, let's look at this story for a second," and it doesn't quite feel right, which is just about the only problem I have, really. There's one example I can give you. There's a great film called Under the Tuscan Sun, which you know, Diane Lane, she goes and interacts with these people. It's about a lady who moves to Italy, and she interacts with people. So she hires some workers to come and work for her. The man she buys the house from, he interacts with her, but they all interact with her, and then we see their stories, and that's nice. That's the way it should be done, I think. This way just feels a little bit jarring and loses. It just lost me at the most important point, unfortunately. Overall, though, I'm not going to say this isn't a bad film, because it really isn't. It's a pleasant film, it's a lovely film. As I've said, it's beautiful to watch. The countryside is as part of a character, and as much of the character in the story as any of the other characters. The performances are absolutely great, the score is beautiful, and it's a nice bit of history that's worth knowing about and worth learning about, and I think that's fine. But it is lacking that connection to the characters that keeps on getting sidetracked, I think, is the problem with it. I don't want it to sound like I didn't enjoy it, because I did. I just felt betrayed by the perspective of following the perspective of everybody rather than just the two main characters who are the most interesting characters. So, The Dig, it's available on Netflix. Do check it out by all means. I don't think you'll be disappointed with it. It's a nice, pleasant drama film, and you know, it doesn't promise anything else. It doesn't promise to be an action war film or anything like that. It is a drama set outside the war in the British countryside, and that's a nice little tale. Thanks, guys. As ever, if you want to pass me on a film that you think I should review, or if you want to link me to any films that maybe I've missed, and let me know what you think as well. I'm always interested to know. So next time we're going to talk about some of my personal favourite films, as someone made a request. But more on that next time. See you soon.